Welcome everyone to another edition of SuperCoach Lads. Fantastic to be back again, and just got the regulars on tonight. Nice to see you, Sluggy. Nice to see you, Marco.
Yeah, cheers, Butsy. It's unfortunate not to have Les with us tonight. We really enjoyed having him in last week, but yeah, looking forward to round 10 coming up.
Yeah, howdy boys. It was good to see the Bombers destroy the Cats on the weekend. Did not expect that one.
No, I don't
Yeah.
think anyone expected that one.
No,
No.
buddy. Weird game, weird round of footy, I reckon, in some ways. Yeah. So, Sluggy, how'd you go on the weekend? How did your
Yeah,
SuperCoach go?
pretty average, but I think I've been sitting on about the same pretty much all year, with like in the 2,100 kind of area, 2,165, which isn't too bad, but I only went down 500 in rank, so pretty much in the same spot. Yeah, I wasn't happy. Still got Hibbard, so he got tagged on the weekend by Jed Lamb, which that killed me. He only scored 46. I know he scored 48. So yeah, I've been really considering about raid trading him this week, but I think I'm just gonna hold him. There's not much you can do when you get tagged. And in a game that they probably didn't need a tag, like you're getting thrashed by 100 points and you're sitting on a backman that hasn't even been having a good year. Yeah, we didn't really enjoy seeing that on the weekend. Um, Also, I guess not happy this week with him, but he's been a good pick for us all year, which is Tim Kelly. He's lowest scorer of the year with 48, but I think we can forgive him. He's done pretty well for us this year. And then Sicily moving into the forward line against Brisbane, and it's been a long time since he's gone under a ton. But I guess we're happy with Tom Mitchell coming back, hitting 155. We haven't seen him with too many big scores since the start of the year. And
Tommy boy.
yeah, and just how he's hitting those numbers now for us, which is great. He's sitting up in the top 5 defenders at the minute, and I'm really happy with Yo. He was in the 20s at the end of half time, and then ended up finishing on 113. He had a really good second half, so that was about mine for the week. I'd like to know how you went, Marco.
Yeah, so this week I scored. Sorry, boys.
It's all
I
good.
scored 2,177. My rank did improve by 500, so I'm sitting at 39 and 500k. My disappointments for this week, I'm going to say, were Sam Murray, 56. I mean, he's a rookie, but yeah, he's been doing all right the past few weeks, and just he dropped the 56 this week, so that was a bit of a disappointment. Also, like Slug said, Tim Kelly with his 48. They were my two. Oh, and Steph Martin with the 79. After giving him a bit of a rap the past few weeks, yeah, hitting that was slightly disappointing. Also, my praises this week goes to Nick Holman. Genius call on holding, saying to hold him a few podcasts back. He's been in some ripper form at the moment, yet still people are trading him out. Don't know why. He's got 122. I like the likes of Duday. He scored 91, so that's still a pretty solid score for a rookie. And also Frisch with his 87 was good. And then, yeah, it was good seeing Buddy Franklin back in my side as well, hitting that 112. So that was also good to see. What about yourself, Butler?
Yeah, had an interesting week. Finally hit over that 2-1 mark, thankfully. Hit the 2-150. Going well in both leagues at the moment, which I'm pretty happy about. Drop rank again, but I've always been about the grand finals and the flags. These boys would know. They haven't won one yet, so they'll get there. Still got 20 trades left, and I was really happy with my just the rookies in general. Duday, Kelly struggled, but Stephenson, Spargo was okay. Fisher, Fritchie, and Gulf weren't too bad. And they're continuing to make money slowly. I'm really happy with Fritch from Melbourne. The last 3 or 4 weeks, he's really, really picked up, and especially with his the money he's made too. He in the last month he's averaged 85, and he's sitting at 340k at the moment. And a lot of people, I reckon, would have traded him out because I think he had a bad game and then he got dropped or rested because of the Anzac Day match. So yeah, a lot of people, a few people got rid of him, but now they're back on. And another one was Petraka because I was really getting worried about him. He's nearly sitting in that Billings mark where you didn't know what to do with him because he was sitting at like 340k, 350k, sorry. So you couldn't really trade him because it was pretty much like trading a good rookie. So I was just thankful. He was sitting on 60 at halftime, ended up only getting 90 for the day, but I'll definitely take it so I can continue on with him for a few more weeks. But yeah, another good round of footy. What were your footy AFL surprises, Marco?
Yeah, so this week I'm going to go off the surprise for a bit, and I just want to talk about this real briefly about the way James Bean spoke today on the Brisbane website. I thought it was incredible, the way he opened up about his mental health issues after his father passed. And I did hear that Tony Jones said it should be something that needs to be shown in all clubs and schools. I agree, it was incredible. So I'm going to paraphrase this real quick. What he said was, it's okay to speak out and talk. The thing that has helped me the most has been to sit in front of someone and talk. And he's encouraged anyone to reach out and seek help. And he's an absolute champ. Like, he's one of the best players in the game, and he's a great role model. And I thought the way he spoke about him stepping down as captain and opening up about his issues was incredible. That's mine for the week, boys.
Well played.
Yeah.
Sluggy?
Yeah, it was a good one, Marco. It's good to put light on those kind of issues because a lot of people are affected by that, and even those big players that you think are living the high life, they still struggle with the same thing. So, my surprise, and a lot of people have been talking about him this week, even though we probably should have been talking about him a lot long ago. Don't even know if he's been brought up on our podcast yet, and that is Jack Darling, who has been killing it for West Coast this year.
I can dare say he has not been mentioned.
He hasn't, which is unbelievable, because here's a list of his scores. Well, he hit that 181 against Richmond last week, and he hit 125, 132, 112, his low score of 42, 120, 90, 112, and 89, which are pretty solid numbers for a forward line player. It's just, he's not that big name player that, you look to at the start of the year, because I don't know how many people would have started with Jack Darling at the start of the year. There's no way you would have been picking him over the likes of Josh Kennedy, who is generally their number one forward. But his numbers this year have been phenomenal. It'll be really interesting to see how he goes this week down in Melbourne. But it would not surprise me if he ends up in the top 6, since they play so many games at home in West Coast. So I personally can't see myself bringing him in unless it's near the end of the season and he's still putting out those kind of numbers, because it's a name we're not used to hearing. But yeah, he's been in phenomenal form. Just West Coast have been in phenomenal form. So that is my surprise there, Butsy.
Yeah, what's yours, Butler?
So something that I was really, really pleased about this year, and it's something. Oh, and there he is, Benny Brown, fantastic. Sorry, bro, just getting a bit of it, trying to get a bit of audio for the podcast for our viewers. Something that I'm really, really happy with this year is North Melbourne Footy Club. I am a North supporter, but at the end of the day, we were supposed to be bottom, everyone would have put money on us that would be bottom 4. And I even thought to myself, very good chance. I always thought that we'd become about 12th, but I could definitely see us, like last year, just turning into an absolute rabble early in the year. So it's really pleasing to see, and for all the supporters, to see that this club's actually going places. And phenomenal month of 5 weeks of footy. We've beaten Sydney, Hawthorn, the Giants, who are massive clubs. I think all three of them will play finals this year. In Sydney, I reckon they'll be a top 4, maybe even Giants with your injury woes. But even though Giants had a few injuries, I think they probably would have had 5 or 6 out of their best 22. At the end of the day, it's a massive win because we were down at halftime, and we really regrouped and come out with a massive win. And even play last week, we played the Tigers last week, we lost by 10 points. At the end of the day, we should have won. Benny Brown missed 2 set shots in the last 5 minutes. We lose by 10 points. So
Yeah,
North
huge misses.
North are having a massive year of football, and I'm really glad to see where we're going. So if you're a North supporter, well done, because I'm really pleased with how everything's going, and I think we'll make finals this year. We've got Fremantle this week, and I think we'll knock them off. And then we've got Brisbane, who we've still got to play again after that. So I think, we'll definitely play finals, and no one would have expected that. I think we're paying over $6 to make the finals, which over $3 is really good value in that market. So yeah, North are having given me a lot of pleasure this year. So going on to rookies.
Interesting word choice, Butler.
Yeah, I know. So going into rookies, we'll talk about our first gamers, and Dan's going to take us away.
Yeah, it's always hard talking about the first gamers because they don't give you much to go on except for the one game, and I'd like to see 2 in. But yeah, I've looked at a few, and the one that actually scored the most was a bloke from Melbourne Demons, and it was Tim Smith. And he's a mature age player. He's 27 years old. It's not his first game in AFL level. He's played 3 games, including the one that he played on the weekend. And he had a big score of 91, which is pretty good. I don't like the chances of him staying in the side, though. Melbourne have a few out, and it will not surprise me if he's not in the next couple of weeks, though. So definitely I wouldn't advise bringing any of these boys in this week, like I know some people have. And that's why I'll get onto one boy that is from Essendon, and that's Dylan Clark. I saw people bringing him in before his first game because of all his VFL hype, where he's been averaging 30-plus disposals, and he's just a contested beast. He didn't have his best game. He scored a 34. But it would not surprise me if he goes 60-plus this week. Like, you're going to have your bad games, but the people that brought him in before he played his first game would be feeling pretty bad off that score of 34. Don't know if he's going to hold his spot or not, but we'll move on to another Essendon boy who played better than he did in his first debut, which is Jordan Ridley. And he looked pretty good down back. 76, he's a tall defender, but he's pretty quick, so he's pretty effective by foot. He was basically just kicking to the side on, just easy target hits. But score of 76, like, you would love to see that because we want to get rid of these rookies in the back line, like Sam Murray. We've got that Finlayson, and if you've still got Finlayson, you're looking to get him off. So we're definitely looking for those defense switches. The only problem with that is, and you'd be able to back me up on this, Marco, I don't know if he'll retain his spot when Hurley and McGrath come back into the side.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one, that one. He did play real well, and he looked good, and the Bombers fans got around him, so that's a tough one. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. One more. Oh, no, I've got 2 more to basically be honest. Bailey Rice. He's 21 years old. I won't be looking to get him in. He's a defence option. He scored 55. And the GWS tall defender for the Giants, Tim Moore. I don't know if that's how you say it. If the boys know, they'll probably give me stick for that.
That's right.
He's played his fair share of games. He's age 29. He only played the 1 game last year and played 2 games the year before, so I would not be looking to bring him in. He did well on Ben Brown for a while, but then torched him in the third, so kicked 4 goals on him in the third, wasn't it, Butts?
Pardon?
Ben Brown kicked 4 in the third, didn't he?
No, the big fella kicked 5 in that quarter.
Oh, there you go. So, yeah, that's why I would not be bringing him in. And that's All
And he only come in. He only come in for Phil Davis.
Yeah,
and Phil
exactly.
Davis had one
Yeah,
week
as soon as he's
concussion.
back in the side, yeah.
He'll be gone. So that's everything I've got on the first gamers, and we'll talk about them next week when they're more relevant. I'd like to hear about the second gamers though, Butsy.
So the second game is sort of slim pickings. It is sort of slim pickings with our second players that are on the bubble that have played their 2 games now. The ones that were looking good from last week, there was 2 of them. There's 2 rookies to even consider. And he hit 64 last week, and that was Cummings from GWS. And hit a 64 last week and did not get a kick this week and got 16, so he's absolutely scrapped from it. The only person you would look at getting in this week is Phillips, who is the brother of Phillips from the Pies. And he hit an 87 last week, and everyone really loved that. And this week he struggled a bit as such. Hit a 49. So it's something I think you've really got to, my personal opinion is you've really got to have a look at this guy. Maybe even have a look at some video because I don't think he's up to it. I think for round 1 he was really good, but people sort of take a little bit of notice, and I reckon he'll probably play 2 or 3 more weeks and won't get a kick, and will probably only make 120,000. So my personal preference is stay away, but I reckon Daniel's got another preference there.
Yeah, well, he gets his disposal. He's got 19. He's in a struggling Saints side, so we'll see. I'm thinking about him. He wasn't effective that much during that game. I don't believe what the percentage was. I know it was in the 60s. But there's no other options, and if you're looking to upgrade a player this week, there's no one else you're going to choose, and that'd be right.
Hold your trades.
Yeah, well, it's either hold your trades, or if you got someone that you really like and you want to bring him in.
I've bought him in.
It all depends on your second trade. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all we've got for the second gamers.
Yeah, so I'll move on to the third gamers. So first one I'll talk about is Keith from GWS. Lockie Keith, the former Collingwood player who got suspended for drug use. He played a bit in the ruck and he got a few hit-outs against Goldie, but they weren't really effective, so he was only getting like basically 1 point each time. He's hitting on a smack bang on 50 in the average, and there really isn't much else to say about him. He's just one of those middle of the road rookies that only made like 30k, so yeah, nothing real special about him. And it's the same with the 2 boys from GWS, so Shear and Crosley. Shear averages about 56. On the weekend he had 13 touches and 7 of them contested, but he didn't do much else. And yeah, Crosley averaging 50, only 6 headouts for a ruckman, and I think he played about 70% of the game. Even though he is swapping with Wits, he's not getting the hit-outs that he probably should be as a ruckman. And yeah, so there's not much else to talk about those boys. They're past. You wouldn't have considered bringing them in anyway. So yeah, they're the third gamers, boys.
Fantastic. So trades in general, just looking at players who we're sort of all thinking about trading in each position, who to bring in, who to bring out, so that sort of thing. So we'll start with the backs. Is that you, Sluggy?
That is me, yes. I'm just going to be talking about the main ones that everyone should be thinking about getting in or have by the end of the time this year. I'll start off with Jake Lloyd, who a lot of people are bringing in this week.
Lloyd?
Like a boy from our area.
Yeah. He had a massive score on the weekend. He hit 173. He had 41 disposals, which is nice. He loves to rank up the disposals. The only problem is, he's not a big tackler. He doesn't often get too many tackles. And out of those 41 disposals, he only had 5 contested. Yeah, but he's very effective by foot. And yeah, a lot of people will be bringing him in this week. He came off 130 the week before, and he doesn't often go. He hasn't gone under 80 only once this year, so he only has the 3 tons out of the 9 games though, which is a bit worrying. But people are looking at the 130 and 173 the past 2 weeks, so a lot of people are jumping on him for value because he's got a break even. A very low break even. Was it 3, I believe?
6.
6. I was pretty close. Yeah. So a lot of people are jumping on him. Otherwise, there was another bloke I was looking at, and we're all waiting for him. He's still kind of dropping a bit, which is Cade Simpson. And we know what he can do year in, year out. He hasn't gone under 90 average since 2008, so we're all looking to get him into our side. He's just had a score of 72, which isn't bad. I've heard a lot of people diss Cade because they think he's had a couple of bad games, but the game before he got 103, which isn't too bad. With a break even 119, probably won't hit it. He'll go down maybe another 13,000, and yeah, definitely have a look at him because he's consistent as any defender, just about, probably besides Laird. So definitely think about getting him in. And a boy that we've all got, and we all love to have him, which is Jeremy Howe. Gotta love watching him, knowing that he's in your team with his high flying. He's been scoring phenomenal the past few weeks. 121, 123, a 92, and 149. That's his past 4 week score, which is really good when you see some of them at half time. He's on 80 something points and then just kind of slows down. But it's just his role change. He's getting more time off on his own, and he'll come in, do a mark contest and take a contested mark, or he's getting a lot of the footy. So definitely look to getting him in.
Can I butt in?
Yeah, go.
I think out of anyone you can get this week, I think he's the biggest in you can get. He's changed his position. He's only at 520k, which he started the year with, and in the last 4 weeks, he's averaging over nearly 120. So you've got to get him in, I think.
Yeah, it's very good, Bus, because not too many people started with him in their team at the start of the year, so there's still a lot of teams that don't have him compared to like your Simpson, your Laird, which, it gives you a good POD, and it's been a good POD for us this season. Another one you got to think about getting, and this will be the last one I talk about, which is Elliot Yeo. He's been in phenomenal form. I was really worried because I only just brought him in. He's at 27 half time, and I was just like, what have I done? But then, good as gold, he comes back. He had a massive third quarter. I was watching the game, and he just tore it up. 113, 111. He hasn't gone under a ton. He's only gone under a ton twice in 9 games. So definitely look to get him in your side if you don't have him. And I would speak on all those boys. And if you need to pick up a defender this week, it would definitely be one of those 4 because everyone's got Laird. All right. I'd like to hear what we should do with the mids this week.
So it's a massive week for the mids, and I think the biggest player in the game, and I'm not talking about Dusty, I'm talking about Paddy Dangerfield, and I think the time is right to get him in. A lot of people still don't have him, but I think the time is right. He's got a 3-round average of 119. He's starting to really heat up now, and we all know he started the year slowly, but that was because of a corked calf. So the trust is there. And the trust is there that you can use him as your captain or vice captain nearly every week from now on, I think. So my biggest thing is get Paddy Dangerfield in your team. The second one that I really think you need to look at is Big Cripper from Carlton, yeah. and he's doing really well lately. Dominated on the weekend when they got pumped by Melbourne. And he's got a 3-round average of 120, but even more pleasing is his 5-round average is of 130. So he's in really, really good form. So if you don't have him, definitely worth to have a look at because he's going to continue to get easy points. Because if you're losing by 80 points, why would you bother tagging someone? Let's be honest, boys. My third midfielder that is really, really interesting because I think it was 2 years ago, Dane Zorko, if I'm not wrong, boys, 2 years ago, absolutely dominated. Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah, was that when he was a forward option?
Yeah, I reckon it was. And he would have been averaging nearly 120 for the year and absolutely killed it in the second half of the year in 16, yeah. So his last 3 weeks, averaging 135. And we know he's absolute SuperCoach gold and has been for 3 or 4 years, I think. So He's at his cheapest, and he's probably not going to get any cheaper. So get him in. And my last one is someone who on our podcast panel, funnily enough, actually had this person, and I won't even say who it is or who the player is.
You
but
bring it up straight away.
And I'll give you the stats without even saying his name.
I know who it is.
5-round average, 116, and a 3-round average of 132.
I know who you're
This
talking
guy
about.
is absolutely dominating, and he brought him in. Am I not correct? He brought him in for steel side bottom?
No, whoever you're talking about, I know who you're talking about. I actually brought him for Clayton Oliver.
Okay, that's okay. But anyway, Marcus Bontempelli is absolutely ripping it up at the moment. And a lot of people question where he was at because he was playing games, playing forward, but also didn't really look that interested in games. And it was just his body language was really lacking, I thought. So them 4 guys, get him in. They're nice and cheap. Danger's probably the 620K, I think he's around that mark. But he's definitely worth it, especially if you've only got that real Gawn as a captaincy option. And I'll just quickly touch on the rucks. Something that's very surprising for me, and I think you really have to stand clear of this ruckman, is Nick Nat. Again, Daniel said that he didn't play much game time on the weekend. How much was it, Sluggy?
No, it was in the 50%, wasn't it? I couldn't even tell you because I haven't really looked because I knew you were talking on it. I'll have a look right now.
I think you said it was 58% on the weekends, which you told us, and it's it's really concerning as a SuperCoach option because this guy, I think he's still averaging around that 100 mark. Is that right, Slug?
Yes, he is. He had 118 on the weekend, so.
And that's good, but at the end of the day, he's not playing enough game time, and I don't like, and I wouldn't use him as an option because I think there's still problems there. Because if he's fully fit, and we're up to round 9 weeks of good footy, and he's played, I think, 8 of them, he should be playing more than 55%. Let's be honest, boys, or 58%. So you got to stand clear.
He just came off a rest too. You think he would have played more game time after that suspension? I was figuring that, but yeah, if he's still getting the same kind of game time after the bye, and he's not scoring well, if you got the trade, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, and my other one is the big fella, the friendly giant, big Sander Lance from Freo. Doing really well this year, going under the radar, averaging 105, 126 the last 3 rounds. So he's potentially someone you can bring in. He's nice and cheap. So if you're looking for a ruckman other than Nick Nat, because Nick Nat's still cheap, I'll definitely have a look at Sandilands because not many ruckmen can go around with him, and he's not really getting a kick around the ground, but he's still doing really well because the good thing is he's not injuring his toes because he has had a lot of issues with turf toe in the last 3 or 4 years. And then, Marco, you're going to take slow with the forwards.
Yeah, so I'm only going to be talking about 2 forwards this week. The first forward I'll be talking about is Buddy Franklin. So he has been off in recent weeks with a bruised heel, which is quite an interesting injury. He is averaging 104 for the year, and his highest score is 175, and his lowest score is 48. So they do cancel each other out with average-wise. And he's been around the 100 mark for the whole year, basically. Yeah, so on the weekend he had 17 touches. So he's averaging 17 touches per game, 3 goals per game, and 8 marks per game. So that puts him in that elite category. And he did hit 112 on the weekend. And his break even is low, but if he hits it's high, sorry. But if he hits above that 130 mark, he's going to be putting that cash back up again. So he's on the brink of dropping in price, but I reckon just jump on him if you can, and if you want a forward option. The other one I'm going to talk about, and Daniel Slug talked about him before, is Jack Darling. So he scored 181 on the weekend, and he's been in phenomenal form also. Averaging 146 in the past 3 games, and his yearly average is 111. He does have a low score of 49, and the other 2 scores below 100 at 89 and 90. But yeah, he's doing awesome. So he's also averaging 3 goals a game and 8 marks, which also puts him in the elite category this year. So if you want to take a risk on a forward, Jack Darlin is an option that you can go for also. There really wasn't many players this week that I would look at to trade out, as we've spoken about them before in previous podcasts. So if you want to listen to those, you can. But that's the trades, boys.
Oh, it must be up to the new part of the agenda. And Butsy's Captain's Corner. And it's great to see some people really starting to take my advice, and it's doing well for your SuperCoach. And these boys, the other boys, they know the podcast is all about me. It's all about the Captain's Corner. And again, I produce. Just telling you,
Robbie Gray.
I will give you results every week. So, I tempted everyone with Robbie Gray. Didn't really get near it, but that does not matter. I said, chuck the captain on the bloke that always finds a footy in this league, Big Tommy Mitchell. Absolutely dominated and hit that 155 like I said he would. It was good to see a past member of the podcast, Leslie Butler, to jump on him on board, and good to hear Paul's tuning in right now live. And also, so that was my pick from the week, and again, got it right. So just keep listening in, guys, and I'll keep giving you results. So my one this week is someone who can really, really be impressive. And he's playing St Kilda, and it is none other than Dusty Martin. Now, Dusty is probably not in the greatest form, but that doesn't matter because he's playing a team that is absolutely struggling against big-name players. So I'm going to give you some quick stats. And I'll just read out players and their numbers. So we've got Fife, 36 against St Kilda last week and a goal. Clayton Oliver, 36 the week before and a goal. Tommy Mitchell, 45 touches. Seb Ross, Blake Acres, 31 and 29 respectively. Zach Tui, Parfit, Joel Selwood, 27, 28, 29 respectively. Rory Laird, 32. Bryce Gibbs, 26 and a goal. So that is that's in the last 7 weeks. St Kilda are giving up. They are giving up lots of points and lots of possessions to the best players in their teams. So a massive one for me this week is you've got to get on Dusty Martin. And because Port Adelaide and Gold Coast have the week off, all you need to do is chuck him on as the vice captain, because he is a risk because he hasn't been doing too well of late. But you can never get rid of the best players in the comp because they will always come and produce for you. And the one who I haven't done much research on this week because I don't think you really need to, but it's none other than Paddy Dangerfield. Probably they're the 1-2 best players in the league, probably in the last 2 or 3 years. And he's playing a Carlton team that's really lacking at the moment. And again, it shows you that they don't really tag. So last week, Jones had 31, Clayton Oliver had 26. So it really just shows you that there's players there that will dominate this week, but I'm not expecting too many big scores. So I'm going to even pull down the lever a bit. I'm going to say Dusty Martin's going to hit 155. I went a bit big, but I'll take it because I was meaning it. He'll hit 155, so you just chuck the vice captain on him. And if you don't have Dusty, for the blokes, it's people that don't have Dusty, because I'm not even going to worry about Danger's score because I'll just take Dusty's. He'll hit me 155 like usual. But if you don't have Dusty Martin, chuck it on Danger, and I think he's going to hit. I'm getting pretty good. I'm going to get more precise now because I'm doing so well. 132. That's what I think you'll get. I said I was 5 off last week with Mitchell, but I'm going to say 132 for Danger and 160 for none other than Dusty Martin. Who have you got, Sluggy?
Yeah, I was very interested in your picks. I was really hoping they didn't go too well till you mentioned Danger, because that's who I've got vice captain on this week. Would have loved seeing
That's my vice pick also.
Yeah, I would have loved seeing
Boys,
your picks down there.
I'm glad to already see you've jumped on my
You only brought Danger in last week, and now you're just talking all about him. I've been mentioning him the past couple of weeks. Not that that's been.
I mentioned Martin before we even started the podcast. So how would I know that you're picking him?
It's all good. Let's just not even bother talking about this, because
there's no point of us doing it because it's his segment, isn't it?
Bloody
Oh,
oath
yeah.
it is. We all know that.
Have you got any other captains and vice captains you should mention, Butts?
Nah, just put it on Dusty. He'll hit me 160. No deal.
Unfortunately, we can't put it on one that I might suggest, which is Jack McRae. If you do not put it on Jack
thank
McRae
you.
and you have him in your team, you would be crazy because he's playing against Collingwood, who do not tag players. So if he doesn't go 140 plus, there's no way he's going to go under 140 plus. I think he'll easily exceed that because he'll just run around and collect possessions, and we will not worry much about him Friday night. So definitely chuck the vice captain on him. And the person,
And Sluggy,
yeah,
funnily enough, someone real close to us, who was actually on our podcast last week, took the vice captain off McRae.
oh wow, was that Les?
That was Les.
That is a very silly move. How could you not?
Terrible.
He's absolutely tearing up the competition at the minute. Oh, your captain's corner ruined him, Butler.
No, he's still got the 155. I'm pretty sure nearly every player in the comp would take that. So
Yeah, exactly.
155's all right. Probably I'd be 160 would have been better, but I'll take 155.
Yeah. And the captain that I've got on this week, which is Gorn, who is just phenomenal. He hasn't got under 120 for a long time, so I'm pretty comfortable sitting with the captaincy on him. Hit 121 last week, 148, 127, 168, 151. So, yeah, definitely loves to hit those big scores, Gorny. And especially with those...
There's my other pick on.
And especially with having Suns and Power out, it makes it very easy to do a vice captain loophole this week. So, yeah, you can basically pick whoever you want this week. Pretty happy.
Alright, considering both my picks have gone, so I was going to have Dustin as my vice and Gorn as my captain, I'm just going to throw it Fife, even though they are playing North Melbourne and Ben Jacobs, but I'll go out on the limb and I'll just throw it on Fife because my other picks are taken and I'm not talking about him again, so we'll put it on Fife. That's my pick, boys.
Fifey. Yeah.
Yeah.
He probably struggled to go over 105 this week.
Yeah,
So
he will.
So we'll go ahead to your segment, boys. I don't even remember what it's called. What was it again?
On the bubble.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Yep, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, I guess on the bubble. I guess on the...
Yeah, nice introduction to the segment, mate.
I was trying to pump you up.
Our segment. Ours is our segment.
Because you guys don't have one.
Yeah, nice one.
Jakey Lloydie, bring him in if you got the cash. I think everyone's jumping on him this week. I wouldn't be advertising Darling as much as he's been going off. But, yeah, that's my pick.
You took mine.
Yeah, well, I took the easy one first. I butted in there.
Well, it has here written Matt Crouch, but I didn't do any research on him because it was your pick, Slug. So, Matt Crouch apparently is one.
He didn't even play last week.
That's what's written.
How have you not decided what you two are doing? Don't you sleep in the same bed?
It clearly says in our agenda. Marco, Jake Lloyd. Slug, Matt Crouch.
I never had. Oh, wow. Classic, boys. Classic stitch up.
Stitched us up real good right then.
What we should get onto now that we're feeling this way, we should get into questioning Butler on everything to do with footy and himself. And me and Marco, we've come up with 4 questions that he must answer immediately. He cannot think about his answer. He's got to answer them very quick. And I guess I'll start it off.
Yeah, go first.
All right, Butler. Where do you think North will finish this year?
Oh, 8th. North Melbourne will definitely finish 8th.
Oh, okay. Is it
So 8th, like position 8th is your answer.
8th.
Yeah,
Alright.
okay.
Is it true that you like your own photos on Facebook?
I do not like my own photos on Facebook. I've never done that.
Oh, we've been looking through your Facebook, and it is true, guys. He likes his own photos on Facebook. The man loves himself, as you can hear about his captain's corner. Is it true that you walk your cat?
I haven't walked my cat, no, but I will in the future because I love cats.
That you, Josh Jenkins. Who do you think, if you make grand final this year, who do you think you'll be playing against?
North Melbourne
No,
Or
in
Edenhope.
SuperCoach.
in SuperCoach. Not sure. It doesn't really matter.
Oh, look at him.
Because you're going to bet him. Is that the answer?
Probably Jack Butler.
Oh, yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right.
Fair call. Fair call.
All right. My questions. All right. Butler, Brownlow medalist.
Brownlow medalist this year. Clayton Oliver.
Ooh,
Ooh.
that's an
Interesting choice.
very interesting choice.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Yearly salary after tax.
Yearly salary after. I don't know. Not enough.
Fair call. How's your run capacity going?
My running capacity is terrible at the moment. I am struggling.
Too much gym, is it?
Yeah, way too much gym. Too much upper body.
It's his body trying to
how
hold
many
his head on his
cruises
shoulders.
That's a good one. That inflated ego of his.
Yeah.
How many cruises does it take for you to throw up Butler?
Okay, this is a stitch up, but it did when I was in year 12, it did take me 3 cruises, and I was.
Lovely. Lovely.
Anyway, is that all, boys?
That's all, boys.
That was good.
Have a great week, boys. Really looking forward to the footy this weekend. Edenhope have got a massive game, 1-4 on the trot. So it'll be interesting to see where we start placing. And North have got a massive game in Fremantle. We're going to smack them, I think. Jacobs is going to clamp Fifey down. And, yeah, really looking forward to a good weekend. What about you, boys?
Yeah, just really looking forward to hopefully Collingwood gets a win Friday night, and hopefully my tips do better because it was a tough week with Brisbane winning and, Essendon beating Geelong. I'm struggling with my work footy tippings at the minute. I'm all tied up on top now, and yeah, I was just looking forward to this week and just like to thank the support that we received over the past week or two. We've been receiving a lot of support, which is really good, and we love hearing back from people. And yeah, thanks for listening in.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing how Essendon responds this week after their massive win against Geelong. See if they can actually back it up for once against GWS instead of going to that pathetic football that they seem to turn to after they smash 1 out of every 4 games. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they go. And, yeah, just looking forward to hopefully actually getting a win in our league matches after being one of the highest scoring teams in our league nearly every week. So that'd be good if I can actually pull out a win. So, yeah, looking forward to the weekend, boys.
Fantastic. And just a shout out to Father Dougal on Twitter. Thanks for the support, young fella. Doing real well. Anyway, boys, have a great weekend and looking forward to next week.